Well, if you got a dollar on just a lousy down, you know that I got rhythm that could suit your budget fine. You can take or leave me, but you ain't got much time, 'cause I just keep on rolling down the line.
Hey, thank you for joining Trusty Huckster Mercantile. Welcome to my drop sale video. This is the April Huckster Hop, and if you are watching this as it becomes available on April 20th, you are just kind of coming toward the end of an evening's worth of hopping of drop sales. My video here is dropping at 8 p.m. Eastern. At 8:30 p.m. Eastern, you'll be able to hop over to Heather Elizabeth at Antique Agenda, where her video will become available. At 9 p.m. Eastern, you can jump over to Joni at Vintagerous, who's representing the West Coast. And then at 9:30 p.m. is the final video of this evening's hop, and that's jumping all the way over to a different coast, and that will be Dolores from Miss DAM Jewelry. If you've never participated in a hop before or watching a drop sale, you can find more explanation in the description of this video. But in general, they're just like other YouTube live sales. However, there is no live chat. So you will be claiming items in the comments section, not in the live chat, because there is no live chat. I do encourage, if you see things that you like, to go ahead, jump out of the video, claim them in the comments, and then go back into the video. If you wait until the video is over and try and claim everything all in one comment, while it's tidy, you will most likely miss out on some of the items that were claimed earlier by other people as they jumped out of the video. So it's a little bit jumping in and out, but these videos are fun to do because it's a little bit more condensed and it's a little bit more easier for me to control because I will not be available when this video goes live. So it's something I can still be selling, but not have to be monitoring or doing a live sale at this time. So, and if you like these format, there will be another drop sale coming out in May, which will be organized by Beth at Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties. Her link will also be in this description, as she was the one that kicked off this series of drop sales. So tonight's theme is a $5 ephemera sale. So we're going to keep things simple. Everything I show you is paper. So kind of the simplest definition of ephemera, and everything I show you will be $5. In some cases, I have multiples of what I'm going to be showing you. I will try and indicate that at the time. But I do encourage you, if you see something that you like and you notice that someone else has already claimed it in the comments, go ahead and put that you are interested. You will then become backup, because it is possible people change their minds or they become unavailable. Whatever the case, it's always good to have backup. So in the cases where there's duplicates, obviously you want to claim those, because then you can get the second, and in some cases third or fourth copies of the items that I have. The other thing, because I've done ephemera sales before, I personally love ephemera. I decorate with ephemera, I collect ephemera, and I resell ephemera. But a lot of people don't really know what to do with it. And so one of the things that I'm going to kind of show you, this is actually the first item that will be up for sale. But what's going to be up for sale is just the actual vintage Twin Pops sleeve. But it's the simplest way to decorate. Is you can go into any sort of hobby store. I purchase these in bulk online, but you can get them through any favorite retailer. You get a pre-cut mat board of whatever size you want. This happens to be 8 by 10. And you can either adhere this directly onto the board, or you can get those old-fashioned photo corners and tip it in to attach that, so that's you're never actually gluing anything onto the piece of collectible ephemera itself. Once you do something like that, you throw this into a frame, you have a perfect piece of decor. And so I think this one actually showcases it really nicely, because on an 8 by 10 board, this little piece really floats nicely on there. You don't need a mat. You don't have to do anything custom. It's super simple. These boards are available. If you want any from me, I can include it in an order. I'll charge $2.50 to add these to an order, plus whatever the postage is. But again, you can find these in many sizes, and go to the dollar store for frames, and you've got instant vintage ephemera decor. And how great would this look in your kitchen, your utility room, your kids' rooms? Who doesn't love the little twin icicle pops? This one happens to be from the Huntington Valley Dairy in Pennsylvania, but it doesn't really matter, because the minute you see this, it's going to put a smile on everybody's face, and they're going to love it. And they're going to love the fact that you only paid $5 for it, and you can get that by claiming it with letter G. The next items also look absolutely fantastic because they're a slightly larger scale. They're considered trade cards, and these happen to be Singer sewing machine trade cards. You can see they fill this board really nicely. They happen to be double-sided. They have some great advertisement on the back. So these are collected in their own right. But if, again, when you pick something like this and you're not really sure what to do with it, you've got some beautiful colors. It can accent all kinds of decor. I mean, this could look great in a formal living room. It's just some beautiful illustrations. You throw this into or tip it with the corners onto a board like this. Again, you've got a beautiful piece. And I have multiple styles, and then in most of the styles, I have multiple copies, but not all. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to grab my cheaters because what you're going to do to claim these is actually name the bird. I think I just moved my computer. So this is the mockingbird. So you claim that by saying mockingbird in the comments. This is the rose-breasted grosbeak. You could just say grosbeak and I'll accept that. This one I know there are duplicates of. And if you are claiming a duplicate, I will send you a picture of the one you will get because they're all the same, but a couple of them have the name at the top. Some of them have the name at the bottom. And I'll make sure you get, so you know exactly what kind of condition you're getting. But these are all front and back. This one does happen to have a couple pinholes. This was probably put on a bulletin board at some point, but you can claim this one by doing Meadow Lark. We also have the Orchard Oriole, and you do have to say Orchard Oriole because I have a different Oriole coming up. So you've got nice dark colors and a beautiful speckled egg for that one. This is the Catbird. It's a nice dark colored bird. You can see this one has the name of the bird on the bottom. So there were two different series. All of them are late 19th century, early 20th century. This is 1898. So the older ones tended to have the words at the bottom. And this one is the American Singer series. The other ones were called Songbird series. So they were a little bit different, but in general, they're all the same size. And they have the different information on both the front and the back. Here is the Baltimore Oriole. If you're claiming this one, you get this one with Baltimore Oriole. Again, you also have a couple pinholes at the top, but those pretty much disappear the minute you put them against a backing board. This is the House Wren. And claim that by giving me Wren. And then on the back on this one is the Song Sparrow. So nice long grasses in this one. In a beautiful back condition showing the table of the Singer sewing machine. This is the red, why did I get red? Yellow-breasted chat. I've actually never heard of a chat, so I'm not sure what this one is. The yellow-breasted chat showing its egg. And this one has the copyright on the back. This one happens to be late, or still early 20th century, but a little bit later. This one's 1926 to 1927. Then from the American Songbird series, the wood thrush with kind of a bluish speckled egg. A nice little interior image on that one. This one also has, this one has a 1927 copyright. And this is also from the Songbirds. This is the yellow warbler. We got another speckled egg on that one. And this one is 1927 on the back. Copyright on that one as well. So again, many of these have multiples, but not all of them. So if you're interested in any of those, just name the bird, $5 each, and you will claim your Singer trade card. All right, next item. This is coming from my personal collection, primarily because I ended up having more than one of them. If you saw a video I did a couple of years ago now, I did a collection of my punch boards. And in the punch board collection, I have some punch cards. And this is a Coca-Cola punch card. So the idea behind this, you have little names on there. You would grab a chance to win a bottle, actually a carton of Coca-Cola for 5 cents. You would pick which name you wanted to pop out. When you popped out that little punch card, on the back of it would indicate whether you were a winner or not. So it's kind of like an early form of gambling. The cards, I think, basically date more like 40s, 50s. The boards were more like 30s, 40s, maybe a little bit earlier. These are flat, very easy to ship, very lightweight, and not as valuable as the punch boards. So since I have a duplicate, I'm making this available at a good price because it's only, what's the name of the theme of the sale? The $5 ephemera sale. It's ephemera, it's $5, and you get it by claiming with letter V. The next items, this is actually, I did not do a video on this, but the person that coming up after me, Heather Elizabeth from Antique Agenda, she has her own history deep dive channel, shows that she does with Angela, and they did a Victorian trade, we did do Victorian trade cards. She and I did that one together. I meant to say she did a video on calling cards, Victorian calling cards, and talked a little bit about how they changed over time. And she was the first person that ever used the term hidden name calling card. I'd seen them before, I just didn't know what they were called. And I have some really nice examples coming up. So there's three different versions. Each one is at $5. They are all bird themed. And I'm starting off with this one because it's just a really, really nice example. And if you're not familiar with hidden names, you have this little die cut that they started doing in late Victorian times, late 19th century, that then when you lifted it, you would see the name behind it. It's difficult to do that because there's only some very old glue holding this on. So I don't want to flip them open on camera. So I actually wrote the names down. And what I loved about this one is it's bird themed. And literally inside, the woman who used this calling card, her name was Birdie Ritter. B-I-R-D-I-E, no, wait a minute, B-I-R-D-I-E-Y. That was how she spelled it, Birdie Ritter. That is the hidden name under that. So I thought that was just awesome. So Birdie Ritter's calling card you get by giving me letter Q. The next one is another bird themed. This one is Hilda Magnuson. So you can see that one's got kind of the lovebirds on that one. You can get the Hilda's card by giving me letter X. And the last one is also bird themed. This one was from Ella J. Person is this card. And again, it's the lift the flap hidden name. And that one you can get by claiming it with letter D. The next item, if you follow my channel at all, I do a lot with community theater, love theater, go to New York for Broadway. Just love theater, performing, watching, all that kind of stuff. So I always love when I can come across some really nice theater related ephemera. And this was just a really cool piece that I picked up. This one admittedly will be slightly harder to display, but if you get a poster frame, they usually have a backboard on it that you could cut down and give it a nice long backing for this one. Or, just this one has a little pin prick hole in the top. You can just pin it to a bulletin board. But what this is a 1913, effectively a playbill, promoting Teatro Municipal, and I need my cheaters again, that it is in Spanish, and it was at it starred Virginia Fabregas. I thought I saw on here where this was, but I don't see it. But they were doing Les Miserables, but in Spanish. So it's Los Miserables. So you've got all the characters, everyone who starred in the characters, although this does not appear to be the musical we know because the characters don't seem to match. It is just a very cool piece that has the date right there. 1913, just some cool font, and no one's going to ask if you saw it because it's 1913. But just how cool is that? If you have an ephemera bowl, I should have brought my bowl. I've got a couple ephemera bowls. Maybe I'll drop some pictures in the video that show it. There's just all kinds of fun ways to display ephemera. If you're not totally crazy like I am, you may not want to have tons of it, but some really nice accented pieces. This one will be harder to frame, harder to display, but still a beautiful piece. And it's still only $5. So $5 for the Spanish Los Miserables playbill or poster by giving me $5 for giving me letter E. The next is a set. There's also a couple of these have multiples. So these are, once again, some fantastic examples of items. Now, this might be a little bit of a big board. I don't actually have a 5x7 available. Should have grabbed one. So it'll be a little bit large for something like this, but these are all vintage product labels. So this is literally the original new old stock paper label for the Union Liberty Company for a bottle, assuming a bottle of ammonia. Just check out the graphics on this. It's just a beautiful piece. It's in pristine condition. And if you put this under glass, again, put this in your utility room near your cleaning supplies, just you could decorate this in very simple ways. You end up, I have several different labels. This one is alone. I do not have duplicates of this one. But if you would like the ammonia label, it is $5. You can get that by giving me letter B. This one I also do not have duplicates of, but this is a set. You actually get all 3 of these for $5. These are just little product labels. Tomato ketchup, Glendale from the Clover Farm stores, and a Clover Farm label. I'm not actually sure if this distributed, just so I don't know if these would have been on fruits, vegetables. I'm not sure what these actually labels are for. So these are much smaller scale. So again, a board like this is a little bit big, but if you got a smaller one and just, and again, go to the dollar store, buy a piece of black construction paper, you just cut it to the shape of the frame, you've got a backer. It doesn't have to be high tech. So this one, you actually get all 3 of these labels for $5. I do not have duplicates of these, so this is the only set, and you can get that by giving me letter Z. This one I do have duplicates of. These are currently listed on my eBay store for $10, but I'm selling them here for $5. These are embossed, new old stock, beautiful color. You got that pink going around the outside with the beautiful purple in the florals. This is a hair tonic that I absolutely love. It's 40% grain alcohol. It says it's guaranteed. It's by a company called Phil Eisman in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Again, find the right size backer board, and you've got an absolutely beautiful piece that pops off of that black, but you can do it in any color you want. This I do have multiples of, and you can grab them by giving me letter U. So that is for the hair vigor. And then I have 1 extra set of this. This, again, you get 2. So there is a Ruby citrus fruit and a Rita Ann Florida citrus fruit. So you get both of these labels. Again, even though the board is a little bit big, you can even put it at an angle if you wanted to fill the board. Or since you're getting both of them, you could even put 2 on the same board. So again, there's just easy ways to display beautiful pieces like this. And when they're new old stock, they're crisp, they have beautiful corners. You're not dealing with anything. They're like, why did you pull that out of the trash? Like, these are designed to be works of art. Like, you're not going to come across this at a Hobby Lobby. No disrespect to Hobby Lobby art, but if you want something unique, your friends are not going to have this. Although one friend might have, because I have two sets. So this set is the first one, but there is 1 more set available, and you can get them by claiming with letter A. These are cutouts from cereal boxes. These are old Wheaties cutouts of games that are called Fun at the Breakfast Table. So you've got the toothpick puzzle, you've got the memory game, you've got some sort of a riddle, transfer, you've got optical illusions, and you've got the Beans and the Hungry Pig. So these are all games. Now, these are the way I received them. So you can see they were not cut out pristinely. They're cut on the dotted line. This person missed the dotted line, so we're missing up a little bit. You could trim them up a little bit more because they would have been designed to be trimmed, and they do fit very nicely on here. And actually, they pop a little bit better on the black than I would have thought. So you could do something if you got a little breakfast nook. If you like the vintage decor, these could be cool because you get all 5 of them for $1. So you could frame them, you could put them in an ephemera bowl, you could just, again, have them as a conversation piece. You get all 5 of these, basically $1 a piece. All 5 you get for $5 by giving me letter R. Now, I showed you the hidden name calling cards. Well, one of the things that was happening as those were being developed was the ability to do die cut paper had become a thing. So that's how you got those shapes that were covering up the name, and also the chromolithography. And that was all covered in the video that Heather Elizabeth did between the calling cards and then also what we did on Victorian trade cards. Well, one of the things that has become very collectible, and again, for rightfully so, because these end up being beautiful works of art that you can also frame. They are they are Victorian die cuts. Look how great that looks popped against a piece of black. If you had a small piece of black velvet, it would look lush against that. You have a little 3x5 postcard frame. These die cuts are extremely collectible, and it's because they can be used for decor. I am selling these for $5 each. And so you've got the Victorian lady you get by giving me letter L. You've got a cherub. Ooh, I don't remember all the differences. So this one has wings. So I think is that an angel or is that a cherub? That with the little cornucopia that you get by giving me letter M. And the last one is also a cherub, I guess, or whatever, the one that has wings. This one, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a love letter. I don't think, fully clothed, so I don't think it's Cupid or anything, but it looks like maybe a little messenger with a little posy holder. You get that one for $5 by giving me letter H. Again, a small piece of black fabric or black construction paper in a small frame. Absolutely beautiful, just sitting right there on your nightstand or in your living room. Going to something very different. I love picking up little booklets. I don't really do books. On occasion I do, but I don't really do that very often. But I love finding these little, like, just staple bound catalogs, books, things like this. And I don't typically do sports, but this was just a fun one because the 1950 Baseball Digest. So you're like right going into the mid-century modern. You've got some illustrations that are sports themed. And I just think that there's some jokes, there's some articles, there's, full page comics. You've got a great illustration or a photograph on the back. It's just another time capsule of, these were monthly magazines. This happens to be the October 1950 edition. And because they were monthly, there's a lot of them out there. They don't sell for a lot of money, and there's a lot of them online. So I was like, you know what? This is a perfect just addition to my ephemera sale, because I'll do it for $5, $5 for letter N. You could cut it apart and frame some of the individual pictures. But again, this goes into a nice ephemera bowl or just a conversation piece, or for for sports lovers, kind of a little flashback into the sporting activities and equipment, etc. from 1950. It's a very interesting, that's what I love about ephemera. It's just a very interesting capture of time. Speaking of a capture of time, these are, again, collectible in their own right, but in the right circumstances, you can frame them on their own. So even if you do not collect what are called first day covers, you're probably familiar with them. You might have seen them at the post office. But they are, in most cases, they're envelopes or sometimes postcards that were created to commemorate a specific event. Well, the Concorde, which, as we now all know, is no longer, created a series of these for individual flights. And so this was the first flight from London to Sydney. And so it had the dates for the flight along with an actual stamp. And then these are envelopes, and there was a little card with information in the envelope that represented that flight. So this was a transcontinental flight between the UK, Europe, and Australia. This, again, they're $5 each, and you get the London to Sydney one by giving me letter K. You can have the Rovaniemi to London. Rovaniemi, I believe, ended up being in Finland. You can get that one by giving me letter P. And you can get the Nassau to Miami. So this was all North American, island to mainland, Nassau to Miami flight. You get that one by giving me letter C. Next, I've just said I didn't do a lot with books, and I really don't, like the books that most people think of when they think of old or antique books. But I couldn't pass up on this one. So initially, I really didn't know what this was. So it looks like a landslide. Okay, what are we talking about here? Why is there a weird little speech bubble above their heads? When you wake, you will do exactly as I say. And there's a perfect example of what this book is. It's basically an early comic humor book. It is copyrighted. I should have checked this out before. 1964. And as you go through it, you get, some of them are landscape, some of them are portrait, but you get shut up and sign it. Rockefeller's too liberal, Goldwater's too conservative, Nixon's a clerk, Romney, and so you've got Eisenhower speaking in that. Some of this is like a flash, remembering. So here's Bob Hope and Richard Nixon. You really think I'm handsome? Mr. Khrushchev says he cannot continue if Mayor Wagner continues to yodel during his translations. So some of these are very, I don't even know who this is. So some of them are very topical. So whoever that dude is, no, I said cold water, damn that cold water. So he must have been quoted somewhere of saying, damn that gold water. So he's trying to, cover his tracks, but I have no idea who he is. Seems like a racy photo for back then. In Greece, you State Department boys are doing a great job. So it's just it's a humor book, and you can have it for $5. Oh, I will say it seemed to have gotten wet at some point. So there's a little bit of rippling to the actual book, but when you look at the individual pages, they all seem, they're not torn. Again, if you cut this up to frame them or send as gifts or whatever, they seem to be individually all just fine. But as a whole, there seems to be a little bit of rippling that probably the book got wet. So it looks like a landslide. You can get the book for $5 by giving me letter O. Now, the next thing I find are absolutely one of my favorite things to collect and then also to have available for decoration. These are considered bill heads. And so just like a letterhead, it is a bill or a receipt of some sort but has something at the top of it. And some of them are very collectible because some of them are beautiful works of art on their own. So that's, again, why I pulled this 8x10, because most of the bill heads show up beautifully on something like this. Because these all happen to be, I grabbed the 3 tobacco related ones. So this is Irwin Host's Fine Cigars, but just check out all of that detailed illustration work at the top. And then you actually have the handwritten order filled in, so it's actually a receipt that was used. And this one was dated 1904. So do you think anyone else is going to have a tobacco receipt from 1904? I doubt it. So this one is available for $5, and you get it by giving me letter Y. The next one is also a tobacco related one. Again, looking beautiful. This is it's almost too big, but it just fits on an 8x10. But again, so you got a slightly different one, but again, beautiful illustrations at the top. So the Reed Tobacco Company for $5. You get that by giving me letter S. That one was dated 1920. And then the last one looks a little bit different, but I love the illustration on it because this one is the jobber of fine Havana and domestic cigars, but they are also the agent for the Mobile Company of America. So they sold cigars, and they sold cars. They sold the electric cars. So just the letterhead on this one, it's just absolutely so cool. February 28th, 1903. And they sold 500 ponies, which I had to look up. Pony was a type of cigar, a small cigar. And it's because of its smaller size, it looks beautiful on the 8x10. You can get that by giving me letter F. So I hope you saw something you like. I try to give a little bit of variety for different types of decor, different types of interests. Again, you could put the items in your bathroom, in your powder room, in your utility room, in your kitchen, in your garage. You can put them wherever you want. There's a lot of ways to decorate with ephemera that a lot of people just don't think of. They just think of it as old, nasty paper. It's fascinating paper. And even looking at those bill heads, you can find out what was selling, what was popular, what did they buy more of versus less of. I appreciate you joining my Huckster Hop, and I hope you do have some fun jumping and hopping from video to video. Again, at hour, the video from Heather Elizabeth will go live on the Antique Agenda YouTube channel. And again, go back into the description of this video. You can look at the links for every person or every reseller that participated in the hop. And if you don't follow them, I encourage you to follow them, or maybe even just say hi and tell them that Trusty sent you. Thanks again for your time. Thanks for putting your trust in Trusty Huckster. I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.